Welcome to Keep the Line Moving Extras, where we take things further. Here we dive deeper into leadership, sports, and business. Each week we highlight our weekly guest, providing further insights from their leadership journey. Beyond the usual headlines, we uncover what truly drives success. From strategic thinking to personal growth, to inspiring teams and leading with purpose. Welcome to the debut of KTLM Extras. What is this, you ask? It's a shorter podcast at the end of the week to send you off into your weekend feeling great. We will summarize the conversation from Keep the Line Moving, our guest there, highlighting some great points that were made. And then we'll talk about a topic, the intersection of business, sports, and leadership. Have a lot of fun, say goodnight, and then again, send you off on your weekend. So our guest this week on Keep the Line Moving was John Tarnoff. He's an executive coach. He was my executive coach. John's background, very interesting. He spent the first part of his career in movie production before transitioning into executive coaching. His last job at DreamWorks, he was involved in people on the movie side of production, and he really enjoyed that. So he decided to get his master's in spiritual psychology, which then generated some interest, excitement, and passion for him to work with people. So here's a highlight, a few of them, as part of our conversation this previous week. And we start with why listening is so important. What about you allows you to be successful as a career coach? Now, usually I'll ask a person that, right, not having firsthand knowledge. I'm going to give my opinion, then sure. I'm going to have you answer because I'm fortunate.
Should we write this down on pieces of paper and see if we get the same answer?
So here's the key, because I also do this, but I'm in a different category than you.
But I think we probably have the same answer.
Okay. It's listening.
That's
You're a
right.
fantastic
That's exactly right.
It's listener.
It's all about listening.
It's all about listening.
Everything is about listening.
It is. Everything is about listening. Oh, we talk about this, as you know, because you're a loyal fan of the podcast, all the time is about listening. And then, John, it's also about your ability to remain emotionally calm.
The task of both getting a job as well as keeping a job has to do with, to me, being an owner, having an owner's mindset. If this were your business, how would you behave? We have to take greater responsibility for the positions that we're in and for delivering results versus being a good boy or girl, showing up and doing what's in the job description.
The number one characteristic you think in 2025 that will help people get hired is what?
Ask more questions, make fewer statements.
So much wisdom from John. And let's use that as a jumping off point to talk about our topic today, which we did talk about at the end of 2024 in episode 110, which is cultures in the NFL, right? There's so much being talked about this topic with coaches and GMs being fired in the playoffs. What is a good culture? What is a bad culture? All right, let's try to shed some light, right? I've spent 3 decades looking at teams and individuals, amateurs, pro, college, what makes great cultures, great individuals that contribute to those great cultures. And 21 years in professional sports right alongside those, creating those cultures. All right, let's start with the role of ownership in culture of an NFL. Let's start with a hypothetical situation because the fans are a crucial part of this. So let's take a fan in this hypothetical situation. You have a big ballroom at a hotel. There are 32 tables. Each team is represented and an owner is sitting at each one of those tables. You as a fan are allowed to go up to your owner and ask them the following question. You get one question, and it is, what is your organizational culture? The owner has rules. They can only answer that question with 2 sentences, right? A lot of them have been owners for a while. They should know that answer. And here's the catch. They cannot say the word win or winning within their answer. Because, let's be honest here, anyone can say that. You don't have to be an owner to want to win. You don't have to be an owner to say our culture is winning. You could pick somebody, your neighbor, somebody at the grocery store, and say, hey, what do you want to do? You want to win? Of course. So let's challenge this a little bit more here to make some points and get us all thinking, which is answer that question in 2 sentences. What is the foundational elements of your organization? So when a new coach comes in or you have sustained success, we would want to listen to those answers within your franchise. What is your culture? What's your relationship to the community, to your hiring, to how you take care of your employees? What is the culture? So now let's go to point number 2, defining culture. What is it? It's the feeling when you walk in the building every day. That's your culture. So you're an employee. You don't want to walk down this hall so you don't have to interact with that person. That person always keeps their door shut. I don't feel comfortable in this situation, in this meeting, because there's always this type of discourse. That's your culture. So nothing's perfect. Nothing's perfect culturally within our families or how we deal with our friend group or our workplaces. But there are ways in which we can make it better. I think we all agree with that, especially teams that are struggling, right, to find that identity or ways in which to work with one another to get sustained success. So let's look at it. Establishing values, getting people in a room to talk about what you're going to stand for. So in that hypothetical situation, the owner who's part of these conversations can answer that question succinctly. This is our culture. Here's how our employees work together. We care about one another. We respect one another. We listen to new ideas. We make room for people at all levels to contribute to how we are going to innovate and how we're going to run meetings, how we're going to conduct ourselves professionally so that when a new coach or GM comes in, there's a foundation from which to work to establish their input into the culture now. Look what Dan Quinn has done in Washington. He started winning. Yes, you could say Jaden Daniels, great quarterback, but it's more than that. He changed the way they think. And another element in defining your culture and establishing your values is how you're going to deal with adversity, how you're going to deal when things aren't working or there are injuries or there are issues that come up, which they do in every organization, win, lose, or those in the middle. Your values allow you to establish how you're going to deal with adversity so it doesn't leak to the media or there's not backstabbing or things of that nature. Again, that is your culture. All right, the characteristics of a great culture begins and ends with caring about the person next to you. I learned something from a friend of mine who I just talked to the other day. He has a doctorate in leadership. He's written 3 books, and he says this: the relationship is more important than the problem. And that wisdom, I'm so thankful that he said that to me at one point, and it really sunk in, right? So dealing with that adversity and being able to create a culture that everyone is proud of, it's putting the relationship ahead of the problem. Think about the wisdom there. So if you're working to not get the credit, you're working to overcome the issue for what is best for the organization, you're not going to make the person feel like they were steamrolled or not listened to. That's the culture. Everybody wonders, right, why teams win or why franchises are in the upper echelon of revenue generation or whatever the case may be. It's because they're able to overcome when they disagree, overcome when there are issues and problems. They still have them. They just have a methodology and a common agreement based on conversation, as in earlier what we talked about in establishing their values, that they could overcome and still be productive and still get to the outcome of their process, which is winning. Winning isn't a value. The values make up the process, which leads to the winning. And then, of course, there are 2 big ones here in the end. Avoid micromanaging. Hire good people who hire good people and let them do their jobs. I think that quote was attributed to Tom Ricketts, the chairman of the Chicago Cubs. That's where I found it. Hire good people who hire good people and let them do their job. Micromanaging kills culture. We all know that. And then that ultimate last word in creating a healthy culture is accountability. When you're wrong, admit it. And that creates trust. and that creates consistency. And let's go back to the owners to close this part out, right? I don't know about you, but when I watch these press conferences, when a coach is getting dismissed or a coach is being hired, and obviously the team hasn't won, which leads to these decisions, I always wait for that accountability moment when the owner says, hopefully, this is on me. I hired these folks. I didn't prepare them properly, or there was a breakdown in communication. You're the ultimate leader here, the owner. So that moment when that accountability takes place, for me personally, anything else that you say, you've got me if you're accountable, right? And that accountability, if it happens, runs through the organization and teaches by example that other folks will be accountable as well. And when you're accountable, the failure becomes a learning and you move on quickly. And the teams that do that well, those are the ones you hear those words, it's on me. And then it's on to the next. There's nothing else to think about. Door shut, learning takes place, culture developed, here we go. And lastly here, Mo Bradshaw, the wide receiver for the Raiders, passed away at age 72 last week. Mo Bradshaw was a colleague of mine and many others at the Raiders, and he epitomizes what makes a great teammate. He played at Ohio State, was drafted in the 4th round in 1974 to the Raiders. He won 2 Super Bowls with the franchise, but that was only part of his legacy. His legacy was who he was as a person. If you walked into the Raider facility and Mo was in his office, all of us and all of my friends and former colleagues said the same thing in their social media posts. I'm doing mine here, which is this: he would welcome you. You would go into his office. He was like a magnet. He had this huge smile and this welcoming demeanor, and you would sit across the desk from him and he would impart wisdom. He would answer any question you had about any topic, business or otherwise. He would say, shut the door if you need to, and just let you talk, let you work through things. He would ask you pointed questions, but in a way that was, he would just disarm you and make you really think about what your role is in what was going on. He was kind. He was patient. He was inquisitive. He spoke in a tone that allowed you to be you. It was amazing. The man had a gift, and it was so sad to see that he had passed away. The night before I moved to New Jersey, I had dinner with Mo Bradshaw. And I still remember it. And I still remember the conversation and him wishing me good luck. And it was like a family member pushing you off to college. It was just amazing. What a legacy from Mo Bradshaw. Hope you enjoy the first edition of KTLM Extras. We will see you Tuesday for Keep the Line Moving, and then next Friday for KTLM Extras Episode 2. Have a great weekend, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to Keep the Line Moving. If you enjoyed this episode, give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and leave a review. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Most importantly, share this podcast with your friends, family, and coworkers. It means the world to us. If you have a guest recommendation, visit our website at garganoleadership.com, where you'll also find all our archived episodes. For our marketing coordinator and the producer of this podcast, Savin Narwhal, I'm Chris Gargano. Have a fantastic week, everybody.